Hey, Jamie here, and welcome to Module 3, Part 2, Designing Your Success, where we're going to be talking about nailing down what is it that you really do want for both your personal life as well as your professional career. So nailing down what are the goals, what are the dreams, what are the visions. So in Part 1, we talked about strategic planning and the ultimate success formula. Well, in order to actually apply the success formula, that framework, we need to know what we're applying it to, which are your goals, your visions. So in this part, we're going to be defining what is the art of dreaming. And notice it's the science of success and the art of dreaming. And there's a reason those two are different. And then understanding what are your 3 target time perspectives. So you're going to have a life dream, a 3-year vision, and then 12-month commitments. So we'll define what are those 3. And then understanding how do you go about setting the 12-month commitments, create leverage for those commitments, and then break them down into milestones. So if I had to ask you and challenge you to think about why do most people not have dreams, what first comes to your mind? So think about that for a second. Why do most people not have dreams? So there are several different responses that usually pop up here, but most often what I hear is people just say that, well, people don't think that they can do something or they can achieve something. And you're absolutely right. So if that's what you had, you nailed it. So self-limitation is the single biggest reason why people don't have dreams. So there's 2 different ways that your mind works. One is an empowering belief, and the other way is a disempowering belief or a limiting belief. If you have a limiting belief in your mind, it's kind of like, I can't do that. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. I'm not talented enough. I'm something, I cannot do this thing. Your mind turns off and stops thinking. Because why waste? And your mind is always trying to conserve energy. Humans are habitually lazy because our minds are always trying to conserve calories. So when we don't think that we can do something or that we don't believe that we're capable of doing something, our mind just turns off, because why would it waste the energy spinning and thinking about something if it doesn't think that it can actually achieve it? So most people don't dream because they don't believe that they can, which means their minds turn off and then they never actually think about how to actually achieve that goal. And they come up with all sorts of negative stories and excuses about why they can't achieve something. And one limiting belief is, so in terms of personal fitness or personal health. Well, this is like an example, but I grew up kind of chunky. And I always thought that was all right because that was who I was. And I always I heard the story over and over again, Jamie, you're big boned. Well, I was not a big kid because I was big boned. I was a big kid because I ate too much and I didn't move enough. And I consistently told myself, as a 3rd and 4th grader, that's why I'm heavy, is I was big boned. No, that's not why I was big boned. So a lot of people have limiting beliefs about their careers. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good at math. I don't understand things. I'm not quick enough. I'm not outgoing enough. People have negative stories and beliefs that they consistently tell themselves over and over and over again, which limits their lives. They don't dream big, and because of that, they never actually figure out how to do it. So the only limitation that we actually have within our lives is self-limitation. Now, again, that's assuming that we do live, or you live, in a free economy, in a free nation where you can make your own decisions. I know that there are other areas in the world where limits are in place by the government, or you don't have free economy to make decisions, or you're not an at-will employer. So again, the assumption within this is you are in a country where you can make decisions for your own life and act upon them. So if the only limit that we have is our own self-limiting belief, then if we do have empowering beliefs, that means that all we need to believe is our ability to dream and to take action on that dream. If you truly believe something is possible, your mind will turn on. And when your mind turns on, it starts asking the question, how? And that's when your mind starts thinking, both consciously and subconsciously. You cannot solve a math problem if you don't look at it and focus on it, because your mind won't think. And it's the exact same thing with your goals. If you don't know what goal it you want to achieve, if you don't have a vision, your mind's never going to start asking the question, how, and to try to discover a solution or a strategy for doing that. So the art of dreaming is for designing your future, coming up with the visions, with the goals. What do you want to paint? That picture that you're painting for your life or for your career. But then once you have that vision and you know what those long-term goals are and shorter-term goals, which we'll talk about, but once you know what those are, then that's where you apply the ultimate formula for success, which we talked about in part 1, in order to actually go about building it and creating it. So the future changes continuously, which means that we cannot plan everything. And so if you remember in part 1, I talked about how we should not worry about steps 4, 5, 6, 7, or even for that matter, steps 2 or 3, because the only thing that matters is step 1. Things will change as we're progressing and taking action on step 1. So for us to try to, a really good example is a lot of people when they try to start a business, they come up with like a 5-year business plan. That's crazy because technology will change. Consumer behavior will change. We're going to change. We'll have more information within even the first 12 months that will most likely change the 5-year business plan. So our lives and careers are similar, where we want to have a vision for where we're heading, but where we allocate the amount of time and energy in creating a detailed plan should only be the short term. Because we need to first plan the short term, take action on the short term, make progress, and then take a step back, reflect on, and say, all right, what's step 2? So what this looks like for our lives in terms of designing what our lives and careers are is think of where you are today and stretch that time all the way out to like the long term. And long term is totally subjective. It's up to you. That can either be 10 years from now, that can be 15 years from now, or it could be 20 or 30 years from now. So depending on where you are in your life and career, that long term, however many years that is to you, that'll be different. But we need 3 different times to design. And the design that we're going to be doing is we're going to start with the long term. So again, if that's 10 years or 20 years or 30 years for you, that's up to you. But you want to define, what does your life and career look like at that point in time? And then the second point that we want to design is 3 years from now. And we're creating a 3-year vision for our professional life as well as our personal life. And then the third time frame that we want is 12 months from now. And these are the commitments. And these are the short-term goals that we're going to plan in detail. And then once we've taken action and achieved these 12-month commitments, then we reflect again and set 12 months commitments for the next year. All the while we know that these 12-month commitments are moving in the right direction. These are the 8 units of progress forward, the focused channeled energy, the strategic action towards our 3-year vision as well as a long-term dream. So this is reverse engineering, because point 1, we're starting far in the distance. We're saying, all right, in order to get there, where do I need to be in 3 years? And then if that's where I want to be in 3 years, where do I need to be in the next 12 months? That's reverse engineering. And then we're going to reverse engineer even more so and say, all right, if these are the 12-month commitments for my life and career that I'm going to achieve in the short term, you're going to break it down into milestones. And think of these as progress checkpoints, where you know that, all right, when I hit this milestone, when I hit this checkpoint, I'm doing great work. I'm making progress. And you can celebrate that, and we'll talk about that. So, some quotes that I absolutely love that I think are so relevant in terms of dreaming big. Walt Disney. And if you're familiar with Disney, if you look at where he started out of a shack with no money and where Disney is today, it's unbelievable, the success that Disney has had. And Disney is just one example. There have been so many other companies that started with, $100 or $1,000. Similar stories. So Walt Disney said, if you can dream it, you can do it. And I absolutely believe that, and that's a belief. And then the second quote that I love is from Michael Phelps. There will be obstacles, there will be doubters, there will be mistakes, but with hard work, there are no limits. And if you study the biography or the background of Michael Phelps, he started as a pretty normal kid. He was swimming, and when he was about 11 years old, he joined a swim team, And Bob Bowman was the coach for that swim team. So he was good, but by no means was he an earth-shattering swimmer when he was 11. But as he swam, Bob Bowman saw something. And Bob Bowman was the one who actually pulled Michael Phelps' parents aside and said, hey, your kid's talented. I see really big things for Michael. And if it's all right with you guys, I'd really like to start putting in plan or structuring a very rigorous plan for developing him as a swimmer. I believe he is Olympic material. Bob Bowman was the one that saw the vision for Michael. Not Michael. He didn't know that was what he was capable of, and his parents didn't either. But Bob Bowman saw the vision and inspired them and said, this is possible for you. He changed their beliefs about what Michael could accomplish. And it was through those belief changes that Michael took action, and he followed the plan that Bob Bowman laid out for him. And together, Bob Bowman and Michael Phelps worked 7 days a week for years straight. They even worked on holidays. They swam on holidays, 2 to 4 hours in the pool on holidays. And by the time Michael Phelps was 15, he was at his first Olympics. And then he came back 4 years later when he was 19, won gold medals, and most people know that during the Beijing Olympics, he won 18 gold medals, previously breaking the record of 17. Michael Phelps is the most decorated Olympian in human history. It's unbelievable. And for him to have a quote that says, there will be obstacles, there will be doubters, there will be mistakes, but with hard work, there are no limits. It's incredible to hear someone say that who has literally reached the pinnacle, the top. So, and then you have the quote by Jim Rohn. If you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. And guess what they have planned for you? Not much. The reason I love this quote is it is so true. Everyone, it is human nature to think first and foremost about yourself, to have self-interest. And when you're in the career, or when you're in your career and in the professional workplace, that's how people are thinking. That's how your manager's thinking. That's how the company's thinking. And it's not to say that they don't want what's good for you. Of course, assuming you have a good manager and you're at a good company, of course they want what's good for you. But they're not going to care about you nearly as much as you care about yourself or your own career or your own goals or the vision that you have in your mind for your life and career. And that's why if you do not design your own life, nobody's going to give you everything that you want, because they just don't care about you as much as you care about you and your family. So you got to design and demand of life what you want, because if you don't, no one's going to do that for you, because they're not planning for you. They're planning for themselves, for their own families. So all results begin with thoughts in our lives. And in order to make those thoughts reality, we need to focus on them and then take action on them. And in order to start that, we first need to design what it is that we want. So whether that's your personal life and your professional career, you're then going to focus on it and then you're going to build it. So right now, go ahead and grab your journal, a pen or a blank sheet of paper, something that you can write with. And ideally, I recommend try not to use a computer for this. Sometimes the creativity and your thoughtfulness, sometimes it's just a lot better to use pen and paper. So ideally, I recommend using a journal, a pen and paper, something that you know that you can take time on, ponder on, maybe doodle as you think. But go ahead and grab that. And then what you're going to be doing is you're going to write everything that you desire in life, everything that you desire, both short-term and long-term, across 3 different areas of your life. And the first area is going to be your personal life, personal development, and your relationships. So examples of this would be learning new skills or learning new areas of knowledge, learning new languages, picking up new hobbies or different passions that you enjoy. It could be strengthening relationships with loved ones or with friends. So maybe that's a boyfriend, girlfriend, or a fiance, or maybe a wife or a husband. It could be close friends. It could be college friends. It could be people that you want to get back in touch with. But human relationships. Or it could be overcoming a fear. And let's say that you've never swam, or you've never ridden a bike, or you're afraid of heights, or there's something in your life that you know that you've been running away from and you need to conquer it. That's another thing you could focus on. It could be strengthening your mindset. It could be transforming your health. So think fitness, nutrition, and sleep. It could also be volunteering or doing something that you told yourself you've always wanted to do but never have actually done it. And again, think both short-term and long-term, everything that you want in life. And then the second area is material success and experiences. So think of material success, and this is a little more obvious, but anything that you can buy with money. So whether that's technology, a car, boat, a home, a second home, clothes, eating out, restaurants, or anything else that you desire, things that you can buy with money. And then experiences are experiences that you want to have in life, both with other people as well as yourself. So this could be travel, this could be vacations, this could be going to certain countries, this could be get-togethers with friends or family, it could be specific adventures. And then in terms of like sharing experiences with other ones, so think loved ones or friends, and this could be shared experiences. So as an example of what I mean by shared experiences, so one of the dreams that I have is being able to go to Nicaragua with some of my best friends and going to San Juan del Sur and having a full week, or really we're thinking 2 weeks, but like a 2-week surfing adventure where we go there and we just surf for 2 weeks in Nicaragua, and having all my best friends and closest friends, as well as probably my brother and my sister-in-law, being able to bring them down. Or it could be motorcycle. So I have another dream with a friend where we want to motorcycle up and down the coast of Vietnam. And then another dream that I have is going on a food tour through Italy and Spain with my parents, because I love Spanish. I studied abroad in Spain, and so kind of that's a dream that I have. So think of experiences as not something super broad. Don't just say travel, but it's like really get detailed. What are specific experiences that you would love to have in life, both in the short term and in the long term, either by yourself or with other people? And then the third category of dreaming is professional, career, and financial wealth. So you can think of this as, what do you desire for your career as well as your wealth? What are you doing? What are you spending your time professionally on? How are you enjoying your career? What are you doing for money? How are you earning money? And again, short-term and long-term here. So what professional skills do you have? What professional knowledge areas have you developed? Do you have certain certifications that you don't have now? How much money are you earning per year? How much money have you saved? Have you paid off debt? How much money are you earning passively through your investments? And one of the things that we'll talk about at the end of the program is financial freedom. But these are all important questions for you to think through, because if you don't have some of these professional and financial wealth numbers in your head, you're not going to get there. So you always want to dream big and define what these numbers are, as well as what does your career path look like. So, a long-term example is, let's say 10 years from now, 20 years from now, what are you doing professionally? Even if you have all the money in the world, even if you have hit that point where you're financially free, you're still going to need to do something with your time professionally. Otherwise, you'll go crazy. And so that's where this is ideally, a dream. What would I love to be doing 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 5 years from now, etc., both short-term and long-term. So really, really important is do not limit yourself. Really define what do you want and dream big in all three of these different areas, because you will only ever achieve in life what you ask for and demand of it. So when you're actually going through these, pretend that if you don't put something down, if you don't put it on that paper, you're not going to get it. And there's 5 steps to actually getting something in life. First is you have to believe it's possible. If you don't believe that you can do something, if you don't believe that you can have something, your mind's going to turn off and you're not going to think about, how can I actually achieve this? You'll stop searching. You'll stop looking. You'll stop trying. So first and foremost, you have to believe that you can have these things in your life. You can achieve these things. And then secondly is you actually start dreaming. And dreaming is starting to design, what does that look like? What are the things that I want? What is that picture that I have for my personal life and my professional career in the future? And then step 3 is figuring out, why is this important to me? And if you remember, that's where we broke down the compelling reasons, both the pain and the pleasure, defining what life will look like when I achieve these, but then also defining what life will look like if you choose to give up. The motivation, the internal motivation. Step 4 is breaking down how am I actually going to do this, which is the success formula and reverse engineering and success modeling to figure out how to achieve it, and then the what is actually taking action on step 1. So these first 3 are the art of dreaming. There is no right or wrong answer, and there's no structure behind this. You choose your beliefs. You can choose negative beliefs or limiting beliefs, or you can choose strong and empowering beliefs. You get to decide and choose what you want for your life. There is no one set plan about what success is. Everybody has a different view for their life and their career about what success is. And that's the beauty of it. That's why it's an art. You get to design it. What's beautiful to you or fulfilling to you could be totally different from what your friends think or what your family thinks. And that's okay. I think that's the biggest thing that most people struggle with is when we grow up as kids, we're always told what success is. Get good grades, get a 4-point, do this, do that. And then you're judged against some objective benchmark that tells you whether you're doing well or failing or doing poorly. But the thing is after we graduate, whether high school or college, you graduate and then you go into the real world and then there's no benchmark. There's no set standard for what success is. And because of that, people consistently always look for a benchmark because that's all they've ever known. And so because of that, they start judging themselves or using the benchmark of money. How much money am I making? But then sadly, it takes people 30 to 40 years to figure out that's not success. That's not what's fulfilling. So dreaming for you is figuring out what is the personal life as well as the professional career that I believe is success and is going to make me most fulfilled because it's what I want. You get to design your life. And then the third part is the why. And then the last 2, parts 4 and 5, figuring out how to actually go about achieve this. Again, you're looking at people who have already achieved the outcomes that you want, learning their strategies, reverse engineering, breaking those down, and then eventually figuring out step 5, which is what is step 1? What do I need to focus on and start taking action on right now? So 1 through 3 is all happening inside your mind. Steps 4 and 5 is what's you're actually taking action on and realizing in real life. That's the strategy. So there's mindset and strategy. And note, mindset will always, always, always come before strategy. When someone is failing or not getting what they want in their life or their career, I promise you they don't have their mindset right. Mindset will always precede strategy. So take 5 minutes, and what I want you to do is pause the video and write down everything that you want to achieve in life for the first area: personal life, personal development, and relationships. So go ahead and do that now. Awesome. Okay, so now you should have written down what you want to achieve in this area of your life, both short-term and long-term. So now the next thing that you want to do is within how many years do you want to achieve each of the goals that you have written down on your paper. So next to every goal, write down the number 1, 3, 5, 10, or 20. And what this number is signifying is, let's say that a goal is you want to learn Spanish. Well, if you want to learn Spanish, within how many years do you want to achieve that? Do you want to be able to speak Spanish fluently within 3 years, or within 5 years, or within 10 years, or within the next 12 months? So for everything that you have written down here, or let's say it's a health and fitness goal where you want to lose 20 pounds and have a certain body fat percentage or something. So whatever that goal is that within the next 12 months? Is that within 1 year? Or is that within 3 years or within 5 years, etc.? So put those numbers down, and then once you've put down 1, 3, 5, 10, or 20 next to all the goals, then what you want to do is put a star next to what are the 3 most important 1-year goals that you have for this category. So go ahead, pause the video, put 1, 3, 5, 10, or 20 next to all of your goals, and then think through what are the 3 most important 1-year goals and put a star next to them. Awesome. Okay. So now what you're going to do is take another 5 minutes to write down everything that you want to achieve in life for the second category: material success and experiences. So go ahead and do that now. Awesome. Okay, so now you're going to do the exact same thing. So you're going to ask yourself, within how many years do I want to achieve all of these different goals, both short-term and long-term, and then write down next to them 1, 3, 5, 10, or 20. And then once you do that, then you're going to ask yourself again, out of the 1-year goals, which are the 3 most important? And then you're going to put a star next to those goals. So go ahead and do that. Awesome. All right, so now we're going to move on to the third area for dreaming. And take another 5 minutes. So go ahead and pause the video after this and think through all of the things that you want to achieve, or all of the goals or things that you want in your life for your professional career and financial wealth. So go ahead and do that now. Okay, so now, same thing as previously. Within 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year, or 20 years, when do you want to achieve these different goals? Go ahead and put those numbers next to the different goals that you have down. Then what you want to do is, again, select what are the 3 most important 1-year goals that you have for this final category. So after you've gone through that and worked through those goals, broken down 1, 3, 5, 10, or 20 years, and then ask yourself, within the 1-year goals that I have, which are the 3 most important across these 3 categories, you're going to end up with 9 most important 1-year goals. Those are the ones that you're going to turn into 12-month commitments. Now, one of the things that has popped up several times is someone writes down their goals and they tell me that, well, I don't have any 1-year goals. You can always have a 1-year goal. So sometimes maybe you only have a 3-year goal, and that's your shortest term goal. Well, take that 3-year goal and break it up into pieces and ask yourself, all right, if this is my 3-year goal, what must I achieve within 1 year in order to get to where I need to be for that 3-year goal? So again, if you don't have any 1-year goals, if that was a problem for you, look at your 3-year goals or even longer term goals and ask yourself, how can I break those up or cut those up so that I can have a 1-year goal in line with that longer term goal? But most importantly is you should have 9 most important 1-year goals, and those are your commitments, your 12-month commitments. So why you must define why these commitments are commitments. And one of the ways that I've heard this explained is, think about it as a lot of people live their life with should. And I should do this. I should lose weight. I should be studying. I should be improving my skills and knowledge. I should be negotiating my compensation. I should be changing my life and improving my career and doing what I want to do. They should. And the running joke is they should all over themselves. But what you want to do is define, why are these musts? Why is this a commitment, not a should? I must and absolutely will achieve these in the next 12 months. And again, that's where we talked about in part 1, compelling reasons, having personal leverage on yourself, internal motivation. So as a quick reflection, we had the 3 points. So 1 is defining why you must achieve your goal. So I must achieve this because, and having a sentence or 2 on that. Defining how your life will be when you achieve your goal. And again, thinking through not only the first order consequences, but what are the second and the third order consequences as well as a result of achieving that goal. But then third is also defining how your life will be if you choose to give up, and the negative consequences of what your life will look like. So after you've gone through the mindset, so 1, we've already talked about beliefs, empowering beliefs. We talked about that in module 2 for mindset transformation. And then in this part, we just went through defining what are the dreams, the goals, the visions that you have for your life across these 3 different categories. Then we're going to break into why, which we just talked about. And then once you've defined those parts, strategy comes next. What is the initial strategy that you're going to take to try or to do your best to achieve these goals? And it's important to know that I'm saying initial strategy, because sometimes the initial strategy is not the best strategy, but you have to start somewhere. You need to start taking action somehow, some way, in order to figure out whether it is the right strategy or it's not. Regardless of the outcome, taking action and figuring out whether it's the right or wrong strategy is beneficial. That has to happen. So mindset first, strategy second. So what you're going to be diving into is the Life and Career Dreaming Worksheet. So what that looks like is you're going to have access to this. And so I want to quickly run you through this. So Life and Career Dreaming Worksheet. The purpose of this worksheet is to design and visualize your long-term dream, 3-year vision, and 12-month commitments. So we're going to be starting with what is that long-term dream, life, and career. So if this, again, this might be 10 years for you, 20 years for you, or 30 years for you, or you get to define what that time frame is. And then we're also going to be defining and doing the same for 3-year vision. And then you're going to be breaking down 12-month commitments. So let's go back up to the top. So what is your dream lifestyle like? Where are you living? Location, house, apartment, etc. So define your dream lifestyle, both personally and professionally. Then find pictures of the location, house, or apartment. So you can use websites like Zillow or Trulia. There's lots of different websites for finding pictures of different homes or apartments or things that you want. And anything else that represents your future lifestyle. Save the pictures you find on your computer or Google Drive and label them with long-term dream. So you're going to be building a folder of pictures, and we'll explain in part 4, module 4, not part 4, module 4, how you're going to be using these photos. And then what specific things, experiences, and relationships do you have in your life? So material objects, travel, hobbies, passions, relationships with a significant other, family, or friends. You want to list those below. And then search for pictures of what you just listed and save the pictures you find on your computer or Google Drive. Again, label them long-term dream. What does your health, fitness, and appearance look like? Describe below. Similar thing. Try to find pictures that represent what you want. What else is most important for you to have or do in your long-term future? List them below, and then again, try to find pictures that represent them. So essentially in module 4, what you're going to be building is a long-term dream sheet. And some people call it a vision board, and that's kind of what you'll be building, but you're trying to find pictures that will remind you every single day, this is where my life is going. This is what I will have. Not I might have or I want to have, it's I will have. This is my future. These things are my future. So you want to do your best to have pictures of those. And then define your 3-year vision. So you're going to be doing almost identically the exact same thing that you just did for your long term. So whether that's 10, 20, or 30 years out, you're also going to be doing the same thing for 3 years out. What does my life and career look like 3 years from now? And do your best to find pictures or some way to actually visually represent so that you can see it every single day. This is what my life will be 3 years from now. And then finally, you want to dive into the 12-month commitments. So this is where those 3 areas that we talked about. So area 1, personal life, personal development and relationships, material success and experiences, and then professional, career, and financial wealth. So the 3 most important 12-month goals that you starred, you're going to be putting into here. And those are your 9-month commitments, your 12-month commitments. And then what you're going to do is you're going to break down each individual commitment into milestones, steps or checkpoints that you can hit and know that I am consistently moving forward and making progress on this commitment. So before we do that, the very first thing we're going to do is breaking down the why. Get personal leverage, internal motivation for why these commitments must happen. So this first part is I must and am committed to achieving this goal because. And this is where you're going to want to write a sentence or two. And again, you're going to be reading this every single day and thinking through this every single day and reminding yourself, this is why I must and am committed to achieving this goal. Then after you have the 1 or 2 sentences there, it doesn't need to be a full page paragraph, but if you want it to be longer, it can be. But this is for you, and it needs to be something that's very heartfelt and true to you. So then, how will my life be when I achieve this goal? And this is, again, where you're going to be writing down what are the results, the outcomes, or the benefits that you will have in your life because you have achieved this and you have realized this commitment. So, of course, there's going to be first-order consequences or direct benefits, but then what are the second-order benefits? What are the third-order benefits that come from achieving this? Then you want to define how will my life be if I choose to give up, trying and fail to achieve this goal. Again, failure is choosing to give up. Failure is stopping movement. throwing in the towel. So, what will your life look like if you throw in the towel? If you're the quitter? Define that. Really paint the picture. And it's not fun to look at. It's not enjoyable. But that's why it's so important. That's why it's so effective. When you paint this picture for, 12 months from now, where will my life be? For most people, it looks about the same. That's how average people live their lives. Year after year, not much changes. Do they enjoy that? No. But they're not doing what they need to do in order to change their lives. And so we need to remind ourselves every morning when we look at this, I have two options. I can either change my life and get what I want, or I can continue to choose to give up and not take action, and I'm going to end up roughly where I am today 12 months from now. And my life won't change, and I'm not going to have what I want. So, after you've gone through and defined the compelling reasons, then you want to break down this commitment that you have into milestones. So, if this achieved goal number 1, if this is your major commitment, then what you want to do is slice it up into progress checkpoints. And sometimes this will be hard. So, as an example of where some people find difficulty in this is, well, what if the goal or the commitment is to improve my relationship with a loved one, like a family member or an intimate partner or something like that? Well, you can't really break that up into milestones. So instead, one of the things that I've recommended to people in the past, as well as I've done for some of my own commitments, is I've set milestones as specific experiences or things that I would do for or would do with that other person. So for example, let's say I wanted to strengthen the relationship with my brother. I have one older brother. Well, then maybe milestone number 1 is doing something specifically with my brother. And then milestone number 2 would be another thing that I do specifically with my brother. And then maybe milestone number 3 is something that I go out of my way to do something for my brother that was totally unexpected by him. And then let's say milestone number 4 is, again, something else that I'm doing with my brother, a shared experience with my brother, as well as his wife. So there are always ways that you can set milestones for your goals. If you ever hit the point where you realize, all right, well, how would I break this down to milestones? Get creative. Don't stop. Always make sure you have milestones. These are crucial because if you only feel successful at one point in the year, you're going to lose motivation. And you got to kind of break up this 12-month goal. 12 months is kind of daunting. That's a long period of time. That's a long-term project. And so what you want to do is break up those 12 months into milestones. Hopefully in milestone number 1, that's something you can achieve within the next 1 to 3 months. And then milestone number 2 within, 3 to 6 months, and so on and so forth. So break that up, and then for each milestone, give yourself a reward. Reward yourself. Now, you don't want to go out and just bankrupt yourself and start buying everything. A reward doesn't always have to be money. It doesn't always need to mean buying something. Maybe this is, a weekend, a relaxing weekend. Maybe this is watching movies. Maybe this is going out with friends or having a barbecue with friends. Maybe, there are so many other ways to reward yourself other than spending money. Now, there's nothing wrong with spending money. If you want to have a reward that is buying something, by all means, go for it. Treat yourself. You earned it. But also know that, let's say you're in a very tight financial situation, you don't need to spend money to reward yourself. So, after you've gone through, you've laid out the milestones, and then you've broken down what rewards do I have for each of these milestones, then focus on the big goal. If you have achieved the full commitment, the 12-month commitment, 1, how are you going to reward yourself again? But then 2, who will you celebrate with? That is that's where the juice in life is. That's the most exciting part. Is it's not about just doing everything for yourself. It's about shared experiences with other people. If you do something awesome, why not celebrate? Why not host a party? Why not invite people over for dinner or get a get together? Maybe you get an Airbnb for the weekend or something and go with family or friends or something. But it is so much more fulfilling and gratifying, and there's so much more juice and happiness in sharing success with other people than keeping it all to yourself. And so that's why kind of this big, and people, they'll naturally ask, hey, what are we celebrating? What are we doing this for? Boom, you get to share and inspire them with saying, I've just now worked 10 to 12 months on achieving this and I did it. That's eye-opening. That's inspiring for your friends and family as well. You inspire them to be better. You inspire them to set big goals for themselves and pursue them. So not only is this good for you, it really is good for them as well. So after you've done that, then the last part for a commitment is breaking down, what is my initial strategy for doing my best to achieve this goal? Again, the key word is initial. You might find that even after a week of taking action, you got to change the strategy. Or maybe after a month, you realize, all right, this strategy is not working. I need to reflect. I need to find another strategy. That's okay. The most important part is taking action, getting started, because it's only through action that you'll ever get the information that you actually need to sit back, reflect, and ask, is this working? And if it's not, then you change. But at least you took good action. So don't spend too much time trying to figure out this initial strategy. This should not be something that you have to think about and read about and research for a month to figure out the initial strategy. Right now, you have an enormous amount of information in your brain. You have a hunch. You have a gut feeling. You have an idea of what you think would work. Take what you know right now and get started with that. Don't spend a week. Don't waste a week or two trying to find the initial strategy. You most likely already know or have an idea, a very firm idea of what you most likely need to do. Start with that, write that down, put it into a strategy, and start taking action on it. Now, you may find that that doesn't work. That's okay. Now, as you're taking action, you should be educating yourself. You should be reading books. You should be studying your mentors and figuring out their strategies. But that should not take you a month or 2 months before you can ever start taking action. It's better, start with what you know right now, start taking action, and then simultaneously, on the side, you're still studying those people who've been successful, taking their strategies and overlaying them, and then following those long term. So you're going to be doing this for all 12-month commitments that you have. So you're going to have 9 of these. Break these down, codify them, and you're going to be looking at these every single day. And again, we'll talk more about that in terms of the mindset conditioning in Module 4. So that is it for Part 2 of Module 3, Strategic Planning. So again, this was designing your future, designing your life. And in Part 3, we're going to be specifically focusing on strategy and planning your career. So I'll see you in Part 3.